Hello, everyone. A very wonderful good morning to all. So, welcome to Quantifier's YouTube channel. I hope your preparation is going well, and I too hope that you all have joined our Facebook group for regular updates and regular practice. And if you wish to receive all the important messages on WhatsApp, okay, so do fill the Google form in the description below. So yeah, welcome. So now that you have the cat off your back, okay, so it's the time that you go ahead with full throttle on the other test, okay. And one of the other important tests is IFT, okay. And one of the key area that IFT generally asks questions almost every year are from the foreign words, okay. So I'm sure that while you were preparing for the vocabulary in a verbal ability section, you often come across English words that are borrowed from other languages, okay. So they are basically known as the foreign words, okay. The reason is that because in common parlance we regularly use various foreign languages, words and phrases in English languages, okay. So it would be safe to say that English actually has borrowed such words and phrases over the course of many years, okay, of their usage in everyday communication, okay. So that's the reason that the foreign words are generally asked. See, the name IFT itself suggests that it's the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, okay. So you should know a little bit about the foreign words, so that whenever you are getting into the deals with the foreign clients and all that, so what is the terminology they use, okay, so you know a little bit about them, okay. So that's the reason that foreign words and phrases occupy a spatial importance in various exams, okay, having verbal ability and reasoning section as one of the section, okay. So IFT is one exam, okay. Sometimes you find these kinds of the question in TestNat, CMAT, okay, SNAP, okay. And yeah, for the somewhat for the better understanding of the RCs also, because nowadays these words are being used in a common parlance, okay, in terms of writing, okay. So for the better understanding of the RCs also, in case if these words are being used in RCs, okay. So the foreign words generally belong to the following languages. They are picked up from French, Latin, Greek, German, Russian, Italian, and so on, okay. So let's have a look at the words, okay. Just give me a second. I drag it onto the reading mode. Okay, yeah, now we are sorted. Okay. So yeah, I hope you know you've joined regular group, WhatsApp, Facebook group, part of our Telegram group, and fill the Google form. Okay, it will be beneficial for you. Okay, so the very first word, okay, I hope the screen and everything is visible. Okay, so yeah, the very first word is avant-garde. Okay, so it's an originated from a French word, okay, which actually stands for new and experimental ideas and methods in art, music, of literature ahead of times. Okay, so avant-garde. Okay, so generally something you can say, it can be stated as a new and experimental ideas, okay, something which is ahead of times, okay. So can you see this image? So this is to remember this word, okay. One mnemonic technique I would say to remember this word is A1 grade. Okay, that sometimes, okay. So when you got an A1 grade and something, that means that you do something good. Okay, you experiment something good, you created something new. Okay, so it's a let's say mnemonics to remember this word. Okay, so can you see this shoe which is being designed? Okay, so something which is new and which is experimental. Okay, so picture to remind you of all these. Okay, let's focus on to the next word. Okay, so next is Beaumont. Okay, so Beaumont is actually, see, why the origin is important. Okay, because sometimes you get a question related to the origin of a word in your papers. Okay, so Beaumont. Okay, so Beaumont, it's an originated French word. Okay, and its meaning is a fashionable society. Okay, so London was the center of this jet hopping Beaumont. Okay, so can you see from the image? Okay, so Beaumont, maybe you can remember it, Beaumont and all that, whatever way you want to remember. Okay, beautiful. Okay, beautiful means somebody who's very fashionable. Okay, sorry for being so many this thing orthodox about beautiful and fashionable, but anyhow, okay, this is just a trick to remember so that you remember the words. Okay, so Beaumont, which actually stands for a fashionable society. Okay, next is your carte blanche. Okay, so what is a carte blanche? Again, it's a French word. So what I've done, I've tried to done is that to keep all the French words together, then Latin words together, then Greek words together. Okay, so carte blanche, can you see what you can figure out from this particular page? Okay, it's kind of a blank page. Okay, see this word, can you figure it out? Okay, this also has got a slightly connotation related to blank and all that. Okay, no doubt that the pronunciation is carte blanche, carte blanche, sorry, carte blanche. Okay, so but it has got something which is blank. Okay, so carte which is blank. Okay, and now the cart is totally blank. It's your choice to fill it. Okay, so freedom to buy something of your choice. Okay, so the cart is totally blank, you have to fill it. Okay, so carte blanche. Okay, and the complete freedom to act as one wishes. So can you see this is totally blank and all that? Okay, so we gave the decorator carte blanche. Okay, to furnish the house. That means the total authority and the freedom. Okay, so let's move on to the next word. Okay, so next word in the row. Okay, cause celebra. Okay, what is this cause celebra and why this Aryan Khan is here? Okay, so let's see the meaning. Okay, so cause celebra. Okay, it's an easy word to remember. Again, it's a French word. Okay, it's a controversial issue that attracts a great deal of public attention. Okay, so maybe a cause of celebration or something, not a celebration, but a trick to remember. Again, the word. Okay, so it's a cause of celebration. Okay, so that all the people, okay, all the people are looking towards it, looking forward for it. Okay, so cause celebra. Okay, a controversial issue that attracts a great deal of public attention. So the Aryan Khan was like in a spotlight for a very long. Okay, so maybe a celebrity. Okay, who is the cause of great number of a public, a great deal of public attention. Okay, so maybe a trick to remember the word again. Okay, so you should remember the word, that is the main purpose. So that is the reason that these associations and the mnemonics actually help you do that. Okay, this is common. Okay, I'm sure that the people from a commerce background might have studied this word as one of the principle of Fayol or Taylor. I don't remember exactly. Okay, so esprit de corps. Okay, so esprit de corps. Okay, it's a French word. Okay, the meaning is a common spirit. Okay, existing in the members of a group and inspiring enthusiasm, devotion, and strong regard for the honor of the group. Okay, so it's basically, in a very short word, it is referred to as a group spirit. Okay, so something that you work together as a group. Okay, and that kind of the enthusiasm, devotion you have as a group total. Okay, so esprit decor. Okay, so you can see there's a work in a group decor. So it's one of the corporate world. That's why it's one of the principles of management. Okay, so oftenly asked in paper many times. So let's see the next word. Faux pas. Okay, so what is this faux pas? Okay, I mean, like this is very beautifully illustrated by the picture. So can you see what is happening? Faux pas. Okay, so all the people, they are drinking or eating. Okay, with proper etiquettes and mannerism, but there's a guy who picked up the ball and he started drinking. Okay, so it's a kind of an embarrassing error or mistake. It can be also referred to as a blunder. Okay, so faux pas. Okay, so maybe you can remember it that your focus passed. Okay, so since your focus passed, you created some kind of an error or a mistake. So that's the case. Okay, so fanny packs went out of this style years ago and were even mocked as a fashion faux pas. Okay, so this, the image is again to make you remember the words. Okay, let's see the next word. Okay, nouveau riche. Okay, again an originated a French word, nouveau riche. Okay, so can you see it's easy, you can derive. Okay, so it's like kind of a rich and nouveau, you know. Okay, it's something related to new. Okay, so somebody who is recently become a new and ostentatiously rich person. Okay, so can you see the mannerism? Okay, these guys, she's wearing all these this girl. Okay, she's wearing all these jewelry and all that. They're sitting in some kind of suits and all. Okay, so there's a guy, and can you see the mannerism, how they are taking the champagne? Okay, so all these kinds of things. Okay, so this shows that these are the new and ostentatiously rich person. Ostentatiously has got a connotation which means to show off. Okay, so nouveau riche. Okay, so it's easy to remember from the word itself, the meaning can be derived. It's new rich. Okay, so a person who has recently emerged as a rich person. Okay. Okay, next is raison d'etre. Okay, so again a French word. Okay, so raison d'etre. Okay, d'etre. So again, it's easy. You can derive the meaning. Okay, so it's kind of a reason. Okay, raison d'etre. So reason. Okay, so reason or justification for existence, that why one particular even exists. Okay, so the purpose of existence, I would say, is a raison d'etre. Okay, so can you see art is this raison d'etre, that is the purpose of living. Okay, so there's a question mark, what is the reason, what is the purpose of my existence. Okay, so that is so raison d'etre, you can remember it from the reason. Okay, move on to the next word. So they're pretty simple because most of them are being used in a day-to-day languages, so that's a craze. Okay, so yeah, can you figure it out, the meaning of this word? Okay, it's sanfra. Okay, again a French word, sanfra. Okay, it's not sang-froid. Okay, sanfra. Okay, but your pronunciation is important as long as your words are being a part of a communicative English. Okay, but again, they're not gonna ask, I don't think so much of the question related to the pronunciation, but still it's better to know that. Okay, so Sanfra, can you see that there's a lot of turmoil here, and maybe there's the captain of the ship is getting ragged, that the water is being filling up. Okay, maybe some kinds of animals, the baby is crying. Okay, so but still, can you see, I mean, like, I'm assuming that this particular person is the captain. Okay, so he's very calm, he's self-control, he's being self possessive. Okay, so that is a sanfra. Okay, self-possession or imperturbability is actually a kind of, let's say, a disturbed state of mind. Okay, spatially unrestrained. Okay, so somebody who is very calm. Okay, who is very, let's say, self-control. Okay, that is actually known as sanfra. Okay, see, Freud is actually in a French again. It actually stands for, in case you know a little bit about French, it stands for cold. Okay, so somebody who is singing. Okay, sang can be said as a singing. Okay, so singing in a cold weather or in a cold water is a very calm kind of a person. Okay, maybe like that, or maybe you remember it from the image of the captain. Okay, next in the row is save savoir faire. Okay, savoir faire, savoir faire. Okay, that's the pronunciation. Again, it's a French word. Okay, so what is that? Okay, capacity for appropriate action. Okay, so your knowledge of appropriate behavior. Okay, so savoir faire. Okay, savoir faire. So again, fair is fair. So you can remember something which is fair. Okay, something which is wise. Okay, so can you say that, dear God, we always pray in our difficult times to God. Okay, because we know that we're gonna, whatever the action that will gonna, we have this perception. Okay, that whatever the actions that we're gonna take will be an appropriate as per the situation. Okay, so knowledge of an appropriate behavior, God knows the best. Okay, so that ways you can remember it. Okay, maybe, or maybe something savior and fair. Okay, so anybody who is very your savior and fair will always guide you for an appropriate action. Okay, so that's why save or fair. Okay, something, knowledge of an appropriate behavior, that what you can say it here. Okay, so let's say, I hope you'll be remembering these words. Okay, then there's a purpose of this particular slides also. Okay, next is volte-face. Okay, so what is this volte-face? Okay, again a French word. Okay, it's a reversal in policy. Can you see this Travolta cage? Okay, I'm sure you must have seen this thing. So volte-face. Okay, so what is this volte-face? It's actually kind of a policy reversal, a reversal in policy. Okay, maybe you can say something which is about turn. Okay, or something which is turn around can also be one of the synonyms for it. And reversal maybe to remember it. Okay, so a reversal, flip flop for that matter. Okay, so in 1986 he made a very public and dramatic political volte fast from left to right. Okay, so suddenly these two are the opposite wings of politics. Okay, so he's making a transition from left to right. Okay, so it was kind of a turn around for this particular guy. Okay, so this is volte fast. Okay, so volta case, so you can remember this. Okay, trick to learn this word. So volt fast, again face. Okay, so opposite face, so somewhere you trick to remember this word. Okay, okay, next is a priori. Okay, so I'm going to talk about two words here. Okay, we're going to learn two foreign words from him. One is a priori. Okay, and next is a posteriori. Okay, so a posteriori. Okay, I hope I have written it clearly. posteriori. Okay, so this is a priori and this is a posteriori. Okay, so let's say what is this. Okay, so this is again, both of them are a Latin word, so now we have shifted from French words to a Latin words. Okay, so it is a priori and a posteriori, there is some difference. Okay, so a posteriori is actually relating to or derived by reasoning from observed facts. Okay, maybe you can say something which observed facts. Okay, so some kind of a reasoning that you deduced, okay, from observed facts, that is actually a posteriori. Okay, whereas relating, you derive some kind of a reasoning from self evident prepositions. Okay, so self evident propositions, not prepositions, sorry. Okay, so propositions. Okay, so that is a priori. Okay, I hope you know that. Okay, something which is self evidence. Okay, which is independent of experiment. Okay, so that is kind of a priori. Okay, something which is based on experience, something which is based on observed fact is actually a posteriori. Okay, for example, relating to or denoting reasoning or knowledge which proceeds from theoretical deduction rather than from observation or experience. Okay, so what you feel could be correct. Okay, what is your self-evident propositions. Okay, so the idea or the reasoning which is derived from your self-evident propositions is a priori, whereas an idea or a reasoning which is derived, okay, from experience, okay, from your, let's say, you can say kind of observed facts. Okay, so that is an a posteriori. Okay, so for example, let's say I could give you an example. Let's say all bachelors are unmarried. Okay, so now this is something that you derived, okay, from observed facts. Okay, it's derived by logic. Okay, without much of the observed facts. Okay, so that is self-evident also, because this is a bachelor's and unmarried. Okay, now some bachelors I have met, I have met are very happy. Okay, now this is common sense. Okay, now you don't require any kind of an experience or observation to prove that all bachelors are unmarried. Okay, this is self-evident. Okay, and it is, let's say, yeah, it's I would say any reasoning that is derived from a self-evident propositions is actually a priori, because this is self-evident. Bachelors means somebody who's married, so all bachelors are unmarried. Okay, now some bachelors I have met are very happy. Okay, now this is actually based on my observed facts. Okay, so this was on a basis of a self-evident propositions. Okay, now this is actually based on my observed facts. So I met some people and some bachelors and they were happy, so I have drawn this particular conclusion from the observed fact that some bachelors I have met are very happy. Okay, so that's the case. Okay, there's no priori reason to think your expenses will remain the same in a new city. Okay, it's common. Okay, so maybe you're going to shifting from, let's say, whatever place you want to say, from Lucknow to Paris. Okay, so now there's no priori reason. Okay, because it is quite self-evident. Okay, that your expenses will remain the same in the city. No, because the Paris, okay, in terms of, let's say, disposable income is also high, and in terms of the expenditure, inflation wise also, it's comparatively high. Okay, so your expenses will definitely increase there. Okay, so the two words generally asked in the paper. So that's the reason that we spend some time. Okay, so ad hominem. Okay, I'm sure you must have done this word in your fallacies also. Okay, so what is ad hominem? Again, it's an originated Latin word. Okay, so it's basically in a way that is directed against a person rather than against what they say. Okay, so what do you do in our Bollywood movies? Okay, in case if there is some kind of a stealing in the home. Okay, so who do we target first? Okay, we target our mates. Okay, why the reason? Because we are not attacking, let's say, because what we are doing is we are attacking the character of the person just because of the profession that particular person is in. Okay, so that is ad hominem. Ad hominem is again humans, again, so against humans and all that. Okay, so in a way that is directed against a person rather than against what they say. Okay, so maybe let's say I'm clerk. Okay, I'm giving my own personal opinion. Let's say that whatever you can say, that the child labor is bad for humanity. Okay, so this is my own perception. Okay, so the person contradict and says that you have to say all things good because you're in a position of a clerk. Okay, so what that particular person is doing, he's not paying much of the attention on what I'm saying. Okay, but rather he's directing against my profession. Okay, he's directing against me as a person. So can you see from this image, you won't understand since you have never had to struggle. Okay, so that's the case. So what you're doing is that you are not focusing on what the person is saying, but you're actually targeting that person. Okay, so his attack seems to be largely of an ad hominem nature. So I hope you remember from these examples of a clerk and a maid. Okay, next is de facto. Okay, so de facto, there again I'm going to talk about two terms here, de facto and de jure. Okay, I hope I'm right with the spelling. Both of them are Latin originated words. Okay. So what is de facto? Okay. So practice that exist in reality. Okay. Even they are not officially recognized by law. Okay. So one thing is the case that they are not recognized by a law. Okay, but these are the practice that exist in reality. Okay, so there's no binding to them. Okay, but they exist in reality. Okay, so in reality actually resulting from an economic or social factors rather than from laws or actions of the state. So there's no law or the action of the state, but it generally exists in reality out of the economic or the social factors. For example, let's say with the death of his father, he became the de facto head of the family. Okay, now nowhere almost it's being stated, it's but obvious. Okay, that he became in actuality, yeah, in reality he became the head of the family with the death of his father. Okay, so it's not necessary that immediately after the death of the family, death of the father, the son or maybe the chachu or the grandparent, oh sorry, not the grandparents, the maternal not the maternal uncle also in that case. Okay, so maybe the brother of the father or the son of the father, okay, they became the de facto head of the family, but it's nowhere being stated by the law that the next hierarchical person will become the head of the family and all that. So this is what we is resulted from some kind of an economic or a social factors. Okay, so de facto. Okay, now next is a de jure. Okay, practice that are legally recognized. Okay, so de facto they exist in reality but are not recognized by law. De jure, they are recognized by law. Okay, so these are the practices that are legally recognized. Okay, regardless of whether these practices exist in reality. So it's not necessary that they exist in reality or not, but they are being recognized by a law. Okay, a very common example I'm going to give you of the de facto and de jure is that maybe when you apply for the driving license, you got a driving license. Okay, so that is can be said to be as a de facto. Okay, and de jure is when you get the permanent license for driving. Okay, so something that is being binded by the law may or may not exist in reality, and the another thing is something that exists in reality but is not recognized by law. Okay, so that is de facto. So again asked in paper. Okay, next in the row is ex gratia. Okay, again a Latin word. Can you see this image? Okay. So something which is given as a favor. Okay, not compelled by legal right, so there's no legal foundation, but you give it as a favor. Okay, so maybe you can say something given or done out of goodness, you can say. Okay, or referring to a payment make as a favor, not an obligation. So you do something as a favor but it's no obligation for you. Okay, so generous companies may offer an ex gratia payment for employees with less than 2 years of service. Okay, so something that is done out of a goodness as a charity. Okay, not as a charity. Okay, but as a favor, I would rather say. Magnum opus, I'm sure you know this thing. Okay, so magnum is something again grand. Okay, so grand opera and all that. So maybe, okay, so magnum is a grand opera. Okay, so opera, I mean, like, I'm just deriving it. Okay, so some prize you received in a grand opera. Okay, so maybe in that ways. Okay, so it's a kind of a great work, especially the greatest achievement of an artist or a writer. Okay, see, can you see the greatest achievement? Okay, so it's kind of a sarcastic this thing, but it's a positive word. Okay, magnum opus. Okay, which actually stands to a great work. Okay, a greatest achievement of an artist or a writer. Okay, it has nothing to do with an opera and all that aspect. This is just to make you remember the words. That's the case. Okay, Okay, next is modus operandi. Okay, now what is this modus operandi? It's actually, you can say, mode of operation. Okay, so a particular way or method of doing something. So it's easy to remember. Okay, mode of operation. So what is your mode of operation? Okay, so modus operandi. Okay, operandi. I think it's operandi or operandi. One is the pronunciation. Okay, so own way of functioning. Okay, own mode of operation. Okay, so modulus operator functioning. So you can remember this word, easy word. Okay, can be remember. So do attempt in case if you get this thing. Okay, yeah. Next is a non sequitur. Okay, now what is this non sequitur? It's actually a Latin word. Okay, in a very simple word, in case if I have to say, it's a kind of an illogical remark. Okay, something that does not follow from what the conversation is going all about. Okay, so a non sequitur is a statement, remark, or conclusion that does not follow naturally or logically from what has just been said. Okay, so he typically speaks one line per episode, usually a non sequitur. Okay, so this girl, you can read this particular chat and you can see, okay, how this particular thing is going on. Okay, so when will our new TV setup? Just soon as I find the English version, and when she got the English version, things would be a lot easier if everyone has the decency to speak the same language. Okay, wait, that's it, the answer. Okay, so he's saying something else. Okay, so something that is an illogical remark. Okay, so you said something for you ask a person. Okay, so I hope your day is supposed to be good. Yeah, so you say, yeah, as good as, let's say, as good as an accident happening on the road. Okay, so then you're confused because this is not a kind of a response that you were seeking. Okay, so an illogical remark that does not naturally follow or logically from what has just been said. Okay, so let's see, let's go to the another word. Okay, okay, so next word, let's get into the mode. Okay, so yeah, let me just write it. Okay, so the next word is a prima facie. Okay, now again, it's an originated Latin word. Now, what is this prima facie? Can you say a prime can be said it to be as a first, and fascia has got a connotation related to face. Okay, so something that is based on first impression. Okay, accepted as a correct until proved otherwise. Okay, so something that is based on first impression. Okay, so that is the prima facie. Okay, a trick to remember prime facie. Okay, so there is a strong prima facie evidence that she committed a perjury. Okay, so a first evidence. Okay, based on the first impression. So maybe it can proved otherwise. So there's some other truth behind that particular statement or that particular remark. Okay, but a b prima facie is considered as to be something which is based on a first impression, which may be modified later on. Okay, but it is accepted as a correct until it is proved otherwise. Can you see the prima facie? Okay, the images, but first phase, something like that, you can remember this word. Okay, the next is quid pro quo. Okay, now what is this quid pro quo? It's like tit for tat. Okay, so a bribe is a type of quid pro quo. Okay, so you do something good to me, I do something good to you. You do something bad to me, I do something bad to you. Okay, so that kind of a thing. Okay, something in return for something. Okay, you can say favor in return or something. Not, I would not say the bad as a thing. Okay, so something that is given to you or done for you in return for something you have given to or done for someone else. Okay, so a type of tit for tat wala. In politics, nobody does something for nothing. There's always a quid pro quo involved. Okay, so this, I can do this. You can remember in easy peasy word. Okay. Now again, this word status quo. Okay. Now this is being like used in our day-to-day language and oftenly. Okay. Again, a Latin word. Okay. It actually goes for status quo. Okay. The existing state of affairs. Okay. So what is the existing state of affairs? Okay. So he is content with the status quo and does not like to change. Okay. So that's the case. So the existing state of affairs. So can you see there's a person who is giving a shovel, okay, and this buddy is saying, no, no, buddy, it's cool. I'm already using this spoon, okay. So they are contented. They are, let's say, you can say, complacent with the present state of an affairs, and they don't want to change, okay. So that the existing state of affairs is actually a status quo. Very common words, okay, very common word. Now, sub rosa, okay, it's again a Latin word, okay, sub rosa. So it's a kind of a secretive or private, okay, something, okay, sub rosa is something you can relate to as a below rose and all that, okay. So hidden in a rose plant and then doing something, okay, a trick to remember, okay. So it's kind of a secretive or a private, okay. So fearing punishment from the university, the activities of the fraternity were sub rosa for its first 3 years of existence, okay. So something that is hidden, okay, that is secretive, that is private, okay, hidden beneath the rose, let's say, you can figure to remember. So sub rosa, a Latin word, okay. Next up we have is, okay, now this ankust, okay. Now ankust is a German word, okay, so maybe some of you know about it, okay. So this again one of the origin, I've already told you that English language is borrowed from German also, okay. So ankust, okay, it's a kind of feeling of anxiety, apprehension, or insecurity. So angst, okay, anger, okay, aggression, okay, maybe anxiety, okay. So these are all the tricks, okay. So you can remember this word from, okay. The most common would be, I would say, an anger, to remember it, okay. So feeling of anxiety, okay. So the amazement instantly turns into fear, angst, dread, confusion, shock, and a myriad of other emotions and reactions, okay. Let's see the another German words, okay. That's blitzkrieg, okay. Now what is this blitzkrieg, okay. This can be set to as a blitzkrieg, okay. It's you can say a lighting war, okay. Somewhere where you see a lot of flashes of lights, okay, lightning war, okay, lightning war, okay. So flashes of lights and all that, okay. So it's basically used for a war, okay, which is conducted with great speed and force, okay. So the war begin with the blitzkrieg, okay, when you can see a lot of missiles and all that things, okay, a lot of like bombardments or the bombing things which is happening, okay. That's why it's known as a blitz, is a shiny or something light, can you see lights, okay. So blitzkrieg, okay, it's refer basically to a war, okay, which has got a lot of let's say lightning war and all that aspect, okay. So by this we are done with the slides, okay. I hope you remember these words and this particular slide was useful for your paper exam preparation. So all the best. See you with the next slide. See you with the next presentation on the same topic. Thank you, guys.